Happy Monday evening to one and all, and welcome to your WWE Raw review for October 10th, 2022. Tonight was the season premiere of WWE Raw. We unveiled some new announced teams for the show, and it was a pretty jam-packed episode with a lot of stuff going on. So there's a lot to get into. A couple of things I was quite surprised about in terms of tonight's show. We even saw a return that I wasn't expecting to see. There were some, as my cats make some noises, there were some rumors earlier on in the day about Brock Lesnar, but I didn't really take them that seriously because I felt there was so much else going on in WWE right now. Crazy Extreme Rules just a couple of nights ago with the return of Bray Wyatt, and so much other stuff going on with the DX celebration. The Good Brothers returned tonight. We had a big U.S. title match on tap, and I didn't really see room for Brock Lesnar to come in unless he was going to come in to work, of course, a Crown Jewel match, which is going to be our next big show in Saudi Arabia. Brock usually works those shows, so it's not that surprising, but it was still, I guess, a nice surprise to see him come out tonight, even though looks like he's going to be having a match with Lashley, and the last time he was in the ring with Lashley, I believe he lost. And I hate to see Bob lose, but it looks like he probably will, to Brock at Crown Jewel. And just lots to get into, lots to unpack, if you will. So I hope you guys are having a great Monday evening. Good to see you in here. Those of you who are waiting for us, do me a favor. Please smash that thumbs up button if you don't mind. And if you're not a subscriber, please become one. I'm just making sure I can be seen and heard over here on this end. I seem okay, there we go. I was about to say I seem choppy or something, but that was my own setup over here. All right, we're good on that side of things. Good to see everybody in the chat. I'm going to do some shout outs and hellos and super chats in just a minute, but just want to get a lay of the land and make sure we are up and running here since I was scrambling to come up, finishing up my notes and getting everything ready for the stream tonight, because Monday Night Raw was not boring. There was something going on pretty much during every hour here, and I thought the show was really well done, and I was even really pleasantly surprised with how they handled the DX celebration. In previous years, whenever they do stuff like this or have Legends shows, it's always the same type of stuff. You come out to the ring, you bury a couple of, lower level talent or some jobbers or some heels in the company or whatnot. It's always a really silly, kind of dumb, pointless segment. Tonight was a nice little arc throughout the show. DX came out at the end and basically just sent everyone home happy, and it didn't feel like a complete waste of time, and no talent was sacrificed in the process. So I think that was all really well executed by DX and Triple H in terms of the handling of the 25th celebration, 25th anniversary celebration. I thought the little opening they did at the Gorilla was really funny, and I enjoyed everything we saw from DX tonight. As expected, we did see a new United States champion crowned as well, which we'll get into later. Seth Rollins did, in fact, take the title from Bobby Lashley. I sniffed this out 2 weeks ago when Lashley and Rollins had that first match, and Riddle came out and and prevented Rollins from winning the title. But then after what we saw last week, when Rollins attacked Lashley like that right ahead of his Fight Pit match, I'm like, feels like Rollins is going to lose to Riddle, and to compensate him for that, they're going to have him win the U.S. title on Raw. I didn't realize that the reason they probably did have him win the U.S. title on Raw is to get the belt off of Lashley, so he doesn't then have to defend it against Brock, because it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for Brock Lesnar to win the United States title right now. You know what I mean? So I understand why getting the belt off of Lashley was necessary, but it felt like something we saw coming from quite a ways away. But they really threw a curveball at me when they had Brock Lesnar come out, because I honestly just didn't see that coming when I probably should have. Crown Jewel's right around the corner. Brock being on the show, getting that payday isn't something he's going to want to miss. And I think we should all be just thankful that he didn't come out and confront Roman Reigns, because they were both on and in the same building tonight, and that could have been scary. The last thing we need is another Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns match. But anyway, we will discuss all of that tonight for the season premiere of Monday Night Raw. I thought it was a good show. Curious to hear what you guys have to say about it. Give me your letter or number grades in the chat. Did you enjoy the show? What did you think about this 3 hours? There was a couple things on the show that I thought were just brilliant. And props to Rey Mysterio, too. We'll talk to him. Very convincing selling at the end of that. So the heartbreak in Rey's face, the real legitimate shoot tears that were coming down his face made me want to fucking murder Dominic, and that's how you get heel heat. Great job by Mysterio on that. We'll get into everything that we saw tonight. I enjoyed the show. I really did. I had a good time watching the show throughout the whole thing. I did dip out for 10 quick minutes right after Seth Rollins won the title because I realized I didn't have any delicious Stellas in my fridge. So I ran across the street to grab some Stellas because I thought I'd have a couple with you guys tonight, and they didn't have any Stellas. So I had to settle for Modelo, which I also love. Modelo Especial, easy to drink beer, super weak. It's basically water, easy to drink. That's what we're doing tonight. So cheers to you. Happy Monday, and hope you guys had a great holiday day. Today was Columbus Day, so many of you might have had the day off. Hope you did. I did. Anyway, let's get into some shout-outs. Let's get into some hellos, some pleasantries, and then we'll dive in to Raw's results tonight. I didn't get a chance to really look at any wrestling news this evening, so if there's anything I need to discuss as we go through, please hit me with it in the chat, and we'll make sure we get to it. I saw a couple of things online today, but nothing that I considered really newsworthy other than that CM Punk story about Tony Khan kind of letting it slip that he might have a front office job after all, which would explain why Punk was like, I'm trying to run a business here during the Scrumgate. So maybe we'll get into some of that. I don't know. Very interesting, too, with Gallows and Anderson's return, because I believe it's Anderson is a title holder in New Japan. He's the never open weight champion or whatever the fuck. So they're going to have to wrap that up. And apparently whatever their deal is with New Japan allowed them to show up on WWE tonight. So will be interesting. I'm sure Sean and the gang at Fightful or somebody else, probably Meltzer, will get the lowdown on that contract situation and what got them back in and what their current deals are with New Japan, or at least with Anderson, because they did wrap up business in Impact just a couple of weeks ago. So good to see them back. It was kind of a bummer that they got released anyway, and I know there was a lot of turmoil there because they're buddies with AJ Styles. I think AJ and Paul Heyman had heat, might still do, over that whole situation. Hopefully that's all been resolved now, and really happy to see them back standing with AJ to go face-to-face with Judgment Day. Whole lot of trios in WWE. If you notice, they're the ones without the trios title. AEW has them, but I mean, even when you think about Big E, who's hurt, you got New Day, and you got the Brawling Brutes, and you've got Judgment Day, who's basically a trio of men anyway. And now you've got AJ and his boys, and I know there's other examples. I know there might be a couple of more, but they got themselves a little six-man division in that company by accident. But anyway, we'll talk all about it as we go through here. Again, welcome to all of you. And I want to shout out everybody that's been hanging out, like Tatanani and JJ Leg. That's a good-looking, good mic work logo next to your name. JJ was our very first ever channel member to join. Once we launched the membership program, a bunch of people signed up right away, but you were the one that is at the very bottom of the list and gets credited with being our first member. So your icons are going to change before anybody else. Good to see you in here, JJ. Also, Nick Musser and Deshaun Robinson. We've got Red Raven Rucker, and we've got George Morris, early channel members in here right away. Max Pokebra as well, along with Zach Palgett and Joshua Aparicio. Nice member family in here. And George, of course, is dropping in $5. He's got that sweet-ass good mic work Hitman logo icon as well. Hey, Greg, how are you doing, and how are your cats? Raw 0 out of 10. Are you going to watch Halloween Ends on Peacock this Friday? NBA 2K23, 10 out of 10. You got a lot of info as always, George. Cats are okay, but Tito, the bastard, was just attacking my sick, frail, and old bub, and I couldn't do anything about it. I heard him squealing, and Tito is resting comfortably under my feet. Bub continues to survive, even though he does have terminal, basically illnesses and lymphoma, but he's still kicking. He's still with me, and that's good. I don't know anything about Halloween. The movies, I have seen maybe one of them, but I'm not a horror movie fan. Just don't watch horror movies. Don't care. Never watched them. Never. I mean, when I was a kid, I think I watched Nightmare on Elm Street and Jason and Freddy and all that shit maybe a couple of times, but I certainly don't know the movies. And I'm not that's not my genre. I have a lot of friends who love horror movies. It's like their whole thing. But me, I just never really enjoyed the genre. I'm sure there's some good horror movies out there that I would like, but for the most part, overall, those aren't movies that I seek out watching. So I never saw any of the Halloweens to begin with. So Halloween Ends really doesn't do much for me. And as you know, George, as long as you've been listening to me, Greg don't play modern video games. If you want to talk Duck Hunt and Mario 2, and hell, I can beat Mario 3, Contra, Double Dribble, NBA Jam, games like that, I'm all yours. NBA 2K23, I wouldn't even know what to make of that, but I'm glad that you consider it a 10 out of 10. That's awesome. We got Zach Goller hanging out. Thank you for the $5, my friend. Greg, what's good? Who do you think is Bray's first target back? I'm thinking Riddle. Good time to be in WWE. Still can't believe he's back. Well, he did come out. Bray Wyatt did appear at Extreme Rules at the end of the Riddle and Rollins match. As a matter of fact, Riddle was just backing up into the entranceway and the lights went down with the camera on him. He would be an interesting one to target because Riddle's so kind of goofy, kind of a goofy stoner guy. We saw him get a little bit more serious with Seth. But Wyatt, with his character, he could bring a whole nother side out of Riddle, which is something that I've kind of been calling for since Riddle's been in the WWE. I like the goofy stoner deal to a degree, but I don't think it needs to be all he is. You know, Kurt Angle, I always draw back to him. He was able to balance that goofiness with being a tough, you know, mamma jamma, you know what I mean? So I think that Riddle can do the same thing, and maybe Triple H sees some of that, and he's trying to get Riddle involved in some angles and storylines that's going to bring out a little bit less goofy of a side in him. And they've even been bringing up his personal life recently on TV and stuff with everything going on there. So maybe that would be a good way to bring some of that out. So you might be right, Zach. Still can't believe he's back. I am just happy that he's back. It's surreal to see him back. We did not see him in the flesh tonight on Monday Night Raw, but they did show a complete replay of the whole thing, unedited, of Bray Wyatt's return on Saturday night. Good to watch that back again. I think I feel like I need to apologize to Bray Wyatt and Extreme Rules. During our review on Saturday, I talked about the big ovation that he got, but I guess when I was watching it, even though I heard the crowd explode, it registered in my brain that it was a big ovation, but I don't think I really realized how big it was until like a few hours later when I was seeing the reaction online, and I'm like, God damn, that was a loud reaction, wasn't it? I know we acknowledged it, but I wasn't like shitting my pants over it like most people probably were, because I think I was so distracted getting ready for the stream that I didn't really realize what a monumental pop it was. And I just think it's pretty awesome that even though the CM Punk scenario really changed things and that whole thing sucks, you know, in the last 15 months alone, we were able to witness with our own eyes 3 of the greatest returns / debuts in the history of the business. All 3 of these, I think, could challenge, maybe not beat it, but it could at least challenge Jericho for the greatest debut of all time. We saw CM Punk return to AEW in the United Center, and just an amazing emotional crowd reaction to his return. That was one of the best things I've ever fucking seen. Even though he got in a fight and he's currently gone from AEW, we may never see him again, doesn't change the fact that that was an awesome moment. Cody Rhodes, same thing, goes to WWE, shocks everybody. Everybody thinks it's going to be a huge mistake. He returns at WrestleMania in just an incredible entrance, incredible reaction from the crowd, came in feeling like a megastar on day one. Unreal. And then, just 2 nights ago, we get the return of Bray Wyatt. Largely the same type of thing. The crowd reaction just overwhelming. Every person in the arena just going ape shit over the deal. And that's what wrestling is all about. And it was funny, too, on Sunday. I was thinking about that. So I just posted a tweet. I went and found 3 pictures of Punk and Cody and Bray's return and posted them on Twitter. And I'm like, how cool is it that we got to witness all of this in just over a year's time? You have to wait lifetimes to see a return or a debut like that sometimes. And we got 3 of them in 15 months. Little did I know this was a debate that was already going on Twitter between all the assholes furiously arguing with each other about what was a bigger deal, Bray Wyatt or CM Punk or Cody Rhodes, people getting mad and blocking each other over this. And I'm like, this is what's wrong with wrestling. This is why wrestling sucks so bad, because the fans are so oblivious to the fact that they actually got to witness these moments in the first place, which I think is pretty cool. They focus all their attention on arguing which one's better. Fuck all y'all. I just think it's cool that we got to see it. Who gives a shit which one you think is better? It doesn't matter. They're all awesome. It doesn't matter how you rank them. They're all awesome, regardless of which one is 1, 2, or 3. Even number 3 is awesome. So the fact that none of that stuff penetrates and it's all about the arguing and the bitching and the moaning, y'all need to get some lives, touch some grass, get some bitches, whatever the appropriate phrase is these days for that type of stuff. Go out and do it, because I think as fans, we were lucky that we got to see all this stuff. And what Wyatt did on Saturday night, I saw some fans not believing the pop, like it was such an insane pop. WWE piped in the crowd noise. You know, maybe they did. I don't know. But it was just one of the best reactions for a wrestler that we've ever seen. And all I could think about is WWE released this guy. Yes, I know it was Johnny Ace and Vince McMahon that released him, but when WWE posted the statement on their website, it didn't say Vince McMahon has come to terms with the release of Bray Wyatt and Vince McMahon wishes him the best in his future endeavors. It says WWE. WWE released him. Doesn't matter who's at the helm. They did it. And I can't believe they made that decision, and I'm so glad that Triple H has brought him back and how awesome it is that he's there, and hopefully all of the mistakes they made with The Fiend, because remember, when The Fiend came in, we were like, ooh, they might be on to something here. It was very good. It was had an awesome look to it, the music, the presentation, the uniqueness of it, because wrestling is running out of unique things to find, and unique things to do. So whenever you can find a character that's like nothing you've ever seen before, don't fuck it up, and that's what they did. So I think Bray Wyatt has a much better chance this time of surviving creatively with what WWE is going to do with him, and I'm excited as hell to see it. So it's been a great weekend, and man, WWE, like I said, followed it up here with an excellent Monday Night Raw. I'm going to continue shouting out a couple people here because eventually I want to get down to what you guys are grading the show because I enjoyed it, and I want to make sure I wasn't imagining things. But thanks again for that, Zach. I appreciate you. I also want to say hello to lots of people here. Holy crap. Okay. Nick Musser's in the house. I'm only hitting the channel members right now. We'll backtrack, hit everybody else here in a little while. Divine Ricks, good to see you. I'm glad you are here as well. Triple H likes factions. I agree. JJ Leg, nice comment there. I love those big green member boxes there. Member for 3 months now. Thoughts on the rumored women's IC title coming? Wow, I didn't even realize that was rumored. If it is, you know what? I'm fine with it. As long as it looks like fucking that on the wall back there. You understand? That's all. As long as it looks like that, I don't give a shit what they do. But I'm sick and tired of these ugly-ass belts. I'm really hoping that belts are being redesigned and they're introduced on TV pretty soon. But if WWE does, begin, or create, I should say, an intercontinental title or a secondary title for the women, just make it look good. That's all I care about. Zane G, member for 2 months. Good to see you. What up, Mike Work? Lesnar return. Awesome that it was. We got Isaac in the house. Michael Cuomo as well. Good to see you. Deshaun Robinson chiming in with $5. Appreciate that, my friend. Anderson is scheduled to defend the championship against Hikuleo on November 5th in Osaka as part of New Japan's Battle Autumn Tour. Cool. You know what that means? That means Triple H is cool with it. That's awesome. That means that Triple H got in contact with them. What's your deal? Oh, we're contractually fine, but you got to know I'm a champion in another promotion. That's fine. We'll bring you in as long as they're cool with, you working here. You can go over there and drop the title and do whatever you need to do. And that's kind of awesome. I mean, this is the closest we've come to all of these companies kind of working together, sort of, when you think about it. You've got New Japan people making appearances in AEW as we speak. AEW's purchased Ring of Honor. Tony Khan has just started a working agreement with Noah. You've got a lot of other representation from Impact on the show, and even WWE and AEW have crossed over a couple of times with Daniel Bryan and Big Show sending in videos for John Cena and whatnot that they've done. And now we've got a New Japan title holder who just came into WWE. It's like it's all kind of getting intertwined there, and that's kind of cool. I like to see all that stuff. And even tonight during the DX reunion at the end of the show, did you catch Corey Graves? He said, the other guy's doing something with office equipment right now, referencing Billy Gunn and the scissors. I kind of thought that was cool. So that's awesome. That means I don't think that they're going to pull him from that, right? That just doesn't seem like something Triple H would do. I think Triple H would be cool with him going back, dropping the title, doing whatever he needs to do there instead of having them just strip him. But we'll see. I could be wrong. He might just not appear there and have to just forfeit the title or something if he isn't under any sort of contract. But I don't know. Triple H just strikes me as a guy that's not going to be that petty, so hopefully I'm right about that. I would like to welcome Jordan Karg. What's up, my friend? Welcome to the family. Thank you for joining. You've been around for a long time as well. Thanks for becoming a member. I appreciate it, and the members are piling up. I appreciate everyone joining. You can do that by clicking the join button below. There's also a link in the description that'll take you over to how to become a member, and we're going to be doing a members-only watch-along within the next week. I got to figure that out figure that out ASAP. So we're probably going to talk about that tomorrow. So keep an eye out on the community tab. If you're a member, we need to decide on the next couple of watch-alongs we're going to do. Divine Ricks, appreciate $10 from you, and welcome back as always. Riddle would be great, would be a great feud for Bray Wyatt because of Wyatt's last feud was with Randy Orton. That's true. I didn't even put that together. And since he can't get Orton, he should probably target his best friend Riddle. That's true. So that's another thing we have to wonder about Bray Wyatt. Is Triple H going to acknowledge what he did before he left? Now, I'm sure he's going to acknowledge it, but is that going to be a motivation of Bray? Is Bray coming in with a clean slate, or is Wyatt coming back to take care of unfinished business? And if that's the case, it feels like he might owe Randy Orton one. He might owe Alexa Bliss one as well. And if he can't get to Orton, he could get to Riddle. And still curious if anything's going to be going on with Alexa Bliss. There's been a lot of talk of the Wyatt Six, a faction formed, led by Wyatt, with 5 other members in it. I think Alexa Bliss is a great candidate. I think Liv Morgan might be a great candidate based on how she kind of changed and got weird at the end of the match. And a lot of Dexter Lumis is another guy. So if he is going to be forming the Wyatt Six, that's some fun speculation, especially if... because that's something we haven't done in a while, maybe even ever. The NWO kind of had that going on when every single week on Nitro you would tune in wondering who's going to join. But like, if you have a known faction that's in the process of being formed and you know how many people is going to be in it, it'll be fun to see all those spots one at a time get filled if they drag it out and the fans continue to speculate. Okay, we speculated on who the White Rabbit is. We know that's Bray Wyatt. He's back now. But now we have to start thinking about who the Wyatt Six are going to be, if that is in fact what he's going to do. And tonight on Raw, there were several QR codes and another spooky video that they did with the whole revel in what you are thing being repeated over and over. So I haven't really read between the lines in any of this stuff yet, so I don't know what the underlying clues here are and what direction it's pointing us in. But maybe you guys know, and if you have any ideas about Wyatt, his motivations, who's he going to target? Is he going to be on his own? Is he forming that Wyatt Six? These are a lot of the same questions we were asking on Saturday night, and so far we've got nothing answered. All we know is Bray is back. Let me see if there's anybody else before we finally start talking about the show. Battle Page 5, appreciate 2 from you. Cody versus Seth for the U.S. title. Surprised to see Brock. Cody versus Seth for the U.S. title. I'd go no on that because you got to think about one thing. If you do Cody versus Seth, first of all, why? They had 3 matches together. Cody beat him injured. Why is Cody going to come back and beat him a 4th time? You know, that just seems overkill in my mind. I think Seth did his deed with Cody. If these two ever face again, Seth needs to win, to be honest. So I'm done having Seth lose to Cody. He did it 3 times, put him over like a boss. That Hell in the Cell match is legendary. It's going to go down as one of the best, and that's going to be hard to top because Hell in the Cell matches these days are ridiculous. They're big, giant Mattel toys painted red. It's completely different than what it was in '97 and the first few years that the Hell in the Cell is around. So for Cody and Seth to put on that performance and for Cody to gut out that win and tell that story was something that it's going to be tough to top. So I'm done with Cody and Seth. You got to remember, Cody came in and only worked with Seth Rollins. He worked with a couple of other guys on TV. I think he worked maybe with Theory. I know he worked with Kevin Owens one week as well on Raw. But on the house show loop, it was just Seth. I mean, Cody's like basically worked with one guy since he's been back because he got injured so early. So when he comes back, let's get him in the ring and mix it up with some other pieces of talent and make his next program be with someone else. But not that Cody and Seth can't happen down the road. All right, that should catch us up, at least for some of the shout-outs for the time being. I also want to say hello to Ronnie Matthews. Good to see you. We got King Azza, Vashtar Win, Big J, Alex Bryant, WWE fan for life, CEW, JR Falls, Rarely Even, Yachiro. We got, I already said you, Stephen Harris, Death Shot, Richard Wells, David Sims, Joe James, Sonic Plays, Wild Guy Rocky, Richard, I got you, Battle Page, Hot Rod. Who else? Oh, damn, there's a whole bunch of names down here. John J.E. Dennett, not sure if I got you earlier on. Welcome channel member. And Victor Cologne's in the house. Regina is here. And we've got Big... Oh, I got you already too. Okay. Just probably going to repeat everybody 5 or 6 times. So let's just go ahead and get on with Raw. Big J, good point, bringing up Bo Dallas. Rumor is that WWE is going to be bringing back Bo Dallas as well. Some of these rumors have paid off right away today. And yesterday, I think, is when we heard the Brock Lesnar and Gallows and Anderson rumors, and they were out right away. And Bo Dallas coming back. I think if Wyatt is going to do some sort of a faction or a Wyatt 6, count Bo Dallas in as one of them 6. You know what I mean? I mean, would they really bring Bo Dallas back just as regular Bo Dallas and not have him associated with the Wyatt family? I think you got to put him with the Wyatt family. When he was in WWE, a lot of people wanted those brothers to hook up. So I think it would be awesome if Bo came back and did something with the Wyatt family, because he's been gone for so long now. I don't know if you can really bring him back like who he was. He wasn't that memorable. I basically kind of forgot about him. The whole Bo Leave thing was funny, but WWE just did not do right by him at all. And he's been gone for so long that I think you can completely change his entire persona. And I would put him with Bray Wyatt. Bringing him back, doing the Bo Leave thing again is just going to be a joke. He's, they already have an R-Truth. They already have roles like that there. They don't need him going back to that. I think it would be cool if he came back with a whole different look. I haven't seen a photo of Bo Dallas in years. I have no idea what he looks like. But if he's maybe bigger, or he's changed a bit, or maybe he has facial hair or short hair, who knows? He could be a big and fun part of whatever Bray Wyatt has planned for us and the WWE. But anyway, let's get into Monday Night Raw now. We have been streaming for 30 minutes, 33 minutes, and I've been flapping my gums talking to you guys. We haven't even begun to talk about the results, but here we go. WWE Raw season premiere. It was live tonight from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, and we had the debut of our new announce team. Very happy to see the two-man booth return. Kevin Patrick being promoted to play-by-play guy on Raw to sit alongside Corey Graves. And Jimmy Smith was let go last week. Very sad, because I like Jimmy Smith. I thought he did a great job. I kind of feel bad for the way it ended for him. He seemed grateful. He didn't seem like he's going to be fine. It's not like Jimmy Smith is not going to find other work or have other stuff to do. He did not seem to be upset by this in any way, that he was just flat out let go because they were moving in a different direction. He understood that's business, and he's moved on with his life. No hard feelings whatsoever. But I feel bad that he got let go, because I think the announce teams, have been struggling to find a niche in recent years, and they really haven't found one that's worked. And when he came in and replaced Adnan Virk, who had a very short stay there, I was immediately happy with just how he sounded and how he fit in, and how you almost barely noticed he was there. And maybe that was part of the problem. Maybe Triple H wants someone with a more distinguishable voice, or, stands out. And so they're giving Kevin Patrick the chance, and putting him alongside Corey Graves is a good call, because Corey's got a lot of experience with this. Hopefully they will have some chemistry there. Apparently Triple H has gone on record and said that he is not going to be forcing chemistry between these announced teams. So if shit ain't working out, he will make a change. But I hope that Kevin Patrick works out, and hope he sticks around. So we got our first look at those two tonight, and the show basically opened up with DX at Gorilla. It was X-Pac, Road Dogg, and I guess it was just X-Pac and Road Dogg and Shawn backstage. They're about to go out, or they're kind of near the curtain, and they look over at Triple H, who's sitting down, because I think one of them said, wasn't there more of us? Excuse me. Yes, tickle in my throat. And I think one of them had said the line, wasn't there more of us? And then the camera pans over to Triple H, who's wearing his grandpa glasses, and he's got the headset on. Hilarious shot of Triple H. And then he gets up and he tells the guys to, all right, go out there and have your fun, but I've got a bigger job now. I can't be a part of this. You guys go do it. Go celebrate DX, have your fun, but just remember, it's a different ball game now. We've got standards and practices, and we've got networks, and you can't go out there and curse, and no sexual stuff. And that's when a Road Dogg is like, can we talk about our penis? And then Shawn starts dropping F-bombs. Of course, they're all bleeped, and they're just shitting and fucking all over the place backstage. And then, of course, they have to have 4 I guess like rubber chickens for cocks. So they've said cock, shit, and fuck with only a couple of these words being bleeped out during this whole entire thing. And it was actually a pretty funny segment. I quite enjoyed it. It was, even though DX humor doesn't really have a place in modern wrestling in today's society, and every time they've done DX reunions or little segments like this, they come off really corny and really cheesy. This wasn't. It was kind of fun. I liked all of it. So Triple H basically is left holding one of the cocks in his hand and kind of watching the guys as they walk away. And all I could think about was Triple H back at the King of the Ring in '98 when he's on commentary. And Jim Ross asked him if he's bilingual, and he says, there's a lot of bi things I am, but lingual's not one of them. And then he pauses and he goes, wait a minute, did I just mean to say that? So to see Triple H holding that rubber chicken there at the end of it was pretty funny, stupid humor, but it wasn't too stupid for my taste for once, and that's pretty rare. So good job so far with DX on Raw. The show really opens up with the Bloodline hitting the ring. They come out to the ring first. God bless Sami Zayn. Protect this man at all costs. He comes out there and he is just headbanging Roman's theme as he's coming out to the ring. He is so spectacular. They take forever to come to the ring. They get in the ring. They do the pose. Everybody's got the championship belts. And Roman Reigns gets on the mic. I think he mentions a little bit about Logan Paul. He says one line that I like that he said. He goes, my dad told me that the loudest man in the room is also the weakest man in the room, which I say amen to, because you don't have to look any further than the good old IWC and some of our fun little Twitter friends and YouTubers out there to know how fucking true that statement is. I like that. And in a hilarious, Sammy's been so good at breaking the Bloodline members, making them laugh in these segments. I thought for sure he was going to do it here. And Roman starts giving shit to Jay, because we all know Jay Uso hates Sami Zayn. And then Sami starts reading Jay the riot act, which is really hilarious. And Roman allows Sami to do this. And Sami's on the mic and he says, you just haven't been very Usi lately. And that immediately sparks an Usi chant, which I thought was hilarious. Jay is getting fuming pissed and he's about to lose his damn mind until Riddle's music hits. Riddle comes out for some reason. Riddle's in the aisle way there, and he goes, bro, since I won last night in the Fight Pit match, I think I deserve another shot at your title, Roman, even though last time we faced, I know I'm not allowed to challenge for the title anymore. And Roman's like, well, a deal's a deal, man. You're not getting your shot. No way. And, of course, then Riddle's like, okay, well, what about one of the Bloodline members? And Jay immediately volunteers, Sammy, what about it, Sammy? What about it? And Sam was like, okay, Sammy, man's up. Sammy actually is cool. He actually winds up issuing a challenge right back to Riddle. I'll take you on. I'm down. What do you think about that? And we are on for our main event, Sami Zayn versus Riddle, later on. And backstage, we would see, a couple segments later, we would see Roman basically leaving. He's taken Solo Sikoa with him and Paul Heyman. They're going to bounce. They're going to go do New York City and go out on the town and have a good time. They're going to leave Jey Uso there with Sami Zayn, and he's been given marching orders by Roman Reigns to make sure that Sami Zayn gets the win tonight. Jimmy is going to hang around as well while Roman and Solo hit the town. Fucking great. So that's what's going to be on tap for the main event. First match of the night, we get Johnny Gargano taking on Austin Theory. Love this match because Johnny Gargano won with the one final beat. Love it. I am glad that WWE is just letting Theory marinate. Just let him simmer, back burner him. He's losing a lot of matches. When we were doing the review on Saturday night of Extreme Rules, one of you guys brought up a scenario of him cashing in, and I literally said, holy shit, I forgot that Theory even had the briefcase to begin with. They're doing a good job of making you forget he's even the Money in the Bank winner. I mean, I know he's out there with it every week being obnoxious, but it's just not really a factor right now. And plus, Roman Reigns is monopolizing the title, so it's not like Theory has any options to really take the title. What would he have done tonight? Come out there and challenge the whole Bloodline? So he's fucking screwed. He's not going to get any chance to cash this thing in until the champion decides to wrestle, which the next scheduled match for him isn't until next month and on the other side of the world. So Theory, I think if they did want to surprise everybody and put one of these belts on him, they could do it in a way that we actually wouldn't see coming. Some Money in the Bank briefcase cash-ins you see coming with him. They could really punch in the mouth hard if they wanted to. I mean, you have Cody come back, win the title, and then Theory cashes in and takes it away from him right away. Something like that. I mean, that could be fun. So I think that could be in Theory's future. But in the meantime, it's nice to see Little Prick take losses, and Johnny Gargano gets the win there. Listen to this match on paper and tell me it doesn't get you rock hard. Chad Gable versus Rey Mysterio. That's a match that I feel like I should hear Excalibur, hype up the previous week. And next week here on Dynamite, it's going to be Chad Gable and the luchador legend Rey Mysterio. Like, it's a great match to have on paper for your show. They did have a lot advertised tonight, but I didn't see Gable and Rey advertised. So they kind of threw this one at us, which I thought was great. And this was loaded. This was just the beginning of a very long couple of segments here on Raw, and it was great. It was all great. So Chad and Rey are having their match. Rhea Ripley and Dominic, the Little Prick, come out to the stage, and they hang out during the match. Of course, Chad Gable also has Otis out there with him. So Rey, it's like 2,000 on 1 here. But he still overcomes all those odds, is still able to beat Chad Gable with a 619 and a top rope splash for the win. And as soon as the match is over, Dominic, the asshole, gets in the ring. And he's dressed like such a jerk off now, and who knows what Rhea Ripley is filling into his head with. I love the dynamic of these two because I love how innocent the Mysterio children seem and how easily duped and impressionable and manipulated and gullible they fucking are. I love that. And Dominic, a lot of people can't stand Dominic, and I know he's not great. I don't think he's as far enough along in terms of talent in the ring as he needs to be to fill a main roster spot. I understand a lot of the complaints about Dominic completely, but I really think that he's playing this character well. He still has trouble pulling it off. I mean, he's a very young-looking boy. He can't even grow facial hair. I mean, if he had a beard or something, he might look a little more menacing, but he's getting better, and he's starting to evolve, and I do think he's kind of doing well in this, and having the Judgment Day surrounding him really helps. And having them with him is probably a better way to get him over than him just hanging out with his dad all the time. You know what I mean? And he gets in the ring, and he basically is asked, he's like, come on, Dad, hit me. He's like, hit me. And it's very reminiscent of Kane when he's trying to convince The Undertaker to fight him, and he's slapping him in the face a few times, and Undertaker refuses to fight his brother. Brett had to be convinced the hard way to finally, put up his dukes with Owen Hart as well. And this is very reminiscent of that. Of course, Rey Mysterio will not hit his son. He has too much respect. He flat out refuses. And Dom winds up slaps him pretty hard. And then Balor and Priest show up right after that. Rey Mysterio starts fighting them off, and that's when Dominic nails his dad from behind. Rey goes down, and then he continues taunting him. As Rey's trying to recover, he's like, hit me, Dad, hit me. And Rey just won't do it. And then Judgment Day grabs a hold of Rey. They pin him down on the ropes, and Dominic hits him with a 619. And then they go to commercial. When they come back, the Judgment Day is still in the ring, but they're showing a replay of Rey Mysterio from the commercial break. And the dude, my boy is crying, like tears flowing down his face. It was very genuine feeling, or Rey did a great job selling this, I should say. I mean, he looked like a legitimately heartbroken father. His reaction to what Dominic did to him and Billy Gunn's reaction to what his sons did to him are not even in the same universe. It's a completely different thing, and the emotion on Rey's face, I don't know what he tapped into to get that done, but he really felt like his world was rocked, and he was heartbroken, and you could almost see, like, eventually this match is going to have to happen. Rey is going to have to take his son to the woodshed at some point. I hope this isn't going to be a crown jewel thing, but I feel like it might be, or Rey is just going to hold off as long as he can. Or, if Judgment Day is on, I don't think it's going to be this, but if you did put Judgment Day on the other side of a War Games, you could have Rey on the other side of that team, and then him and Dominic have to face off there, but I doubt it. I feel like War Games is going to be reserved for the Bloodline. Eventually that match is going to happen, so it might happen at Survivor Series, or it actually could happen maybe at Crown Jewel. Not sure yet how long they're going to drag it out and how long Rey is going to continue to refuse to fight his own son before finally getting fed up and to have to teach a little piece of shit a lesson. So we will see what they do there. Good stuff all around, though, and I loved it. So now, like I said, Judgment Day is still in the ring. They're hanging out. Balor is on the mic, and he's talking about his victory over Edge, and then he calls out AJ Styles. I even think he calls him Uncle Allen at one point. And we know that AJ's kind of been teasing some sort of a change recently. And as soon as AJ came out, I tweeted, I'm like, hey, we just saw the reports of Good Brothers coming back to WWE. Every other report we've gotten in recent weeks of somebody coming back to the company, I think Candice LeRae was like that. I think Dexter Lumis was like that. Braun Strowman, I believe, as well. They basically returned on the next available show. As soon as we heard that rumor, there was no 3 or 4 week waiting period. They were on TV. So I had that in my mind. I'm like, AJ's coming out here by himself. I don't think he's going to join Judgment Day, but they've got 2 more men on that team. This would be a perfect time to bring the Good Brothers in. If they are here, this would be the type of segment that you would probably see them debut in. And sure enough, AJ gets in the ring and he pretends to join Judgment Day. He goes, you're all our time together in Japan, and it's all about you, Finn. And he kneels down. They hug. But prior to that, I guess I should backtrack. He said that in times like these, you don't just need friends, you need family. And that's when they hug. And AJ says, oh, you thought I was talking about you? And fans kind of erupt, and then the music plays. Gallows and Anderson come out. They get a great reaction. Perfect building to return them. I mean, this is Barclays. This is Brooklyn. This is a big market. Always get big reactions in this show, or in this building, I should say, for any show they do there. So perfect place to bring them back. They hit the ring, big brawl with the Judgment Day, and they wind up retreating. And AJ and the Club, is that what they were called, right? The Club. When was that shit even on TV? 2019 or something like that. So it's good to see them back together again. Gallows and Anderson, much like the Revival or FTR when they were there, felt like a team that weren't living up to the potential that they could have. I'm a much bigger FTR fan than I am Gallows and Anderson, but I still feel like Gallows and Anderson fell short of what they could have accomplished in WWE, especially given their relationship with AJ and stuff like that. And maybe under Triple H's pencil, things can be much better for them. So we will see. Really happy to see Gallows and Anderson back. Welcome back, Good Brothers. And like we said, we'll see what WWE allows Carl Anderson to do. I kind of believe that they're going to let him go drop that title that he's booked for in New Japan in a couple of weeks and get that over with. I feel like that's something Triple H would let him do. Shouldn't be a big deal at all. Hopefully it won't be. After that, we get Bayley taking on Candice LeRae. I knew something was up. With this match because Candice LeRae just came back, and I believe she took a loss last week, right? I don't even recall who she lost to, but I'm pretty sure she lost. So she just came back. I think she won her return, but she lost last week. So she's facing Bayley. I was like, oh, shit. If she's facing Bayley, Bayley just lost at the pay-per-view, which means if you do the math, she's definitely going to win this match, right? But then I was like, well, she's in there with Candice, who just returned, who took a loss last week. For Candice to lose here, that's Vince booking. And I kind of thought in the back of my head, I'm like, maybe Candice, maybe Bayley. We saw her demeanor in the little sit-down thing with Byron Saxton in the segment before this. She felt a little off, a little rattled by the loss, and is vowing revenge and vowing to still wind up taking the title from Bianca Belair. So she's distracted. Her head's not in the game. And that's what wound up happening. That was the finish. Candice kind of caught Bayley with a quick cradle there and was able to catch a quick 3 count, surprising Bayley for the upset and winning the match. She was immediately attacked by Damage Control. Bianca attempted to come out and make the save, but got her ass kicked as well, and Damage Control stood tall. But Candice LeRae got a big win, at least in the record books, against Bayley, and that's good for her. I would have hated to see her drop 2 matches in a row, especially if it's just to give Bayley a victory back. You could put Bayley in there with anybody. Stick her in there with Dana Brooke and give her the victory, or give her another win to get her back on track if that's what the point of it is. So once she was in there with Candice, that sent up a red flag to me that something might be up, and it was, and I was delighted to see Candice get the win there. We have the Miz's birthday celebration coming up. So Miz's birthday apparently is today or some shit. And Maurice is there, and they're going to do this big thing in the ring. Miz, of course, is still paranoid about the man whose name we won't say or whatever he calls Dexter Lumis. And then we go to the ring, and it's this big elaborate shit. You got a red carpet. You got balloons everywhere. And Maurice presents the Miz with a bat, a baseball bat, and then she's got all these presents, and he's like, I'm going to open some presents. Be quiet. Here, hold my bat. And he's opening all the presents, and she gives him, I guess, like a set of exercise balls with a picture of himself plastered on it, just to represent his big balls to go with his long, lustrous, hard, rock-hard, solid wooden bat. And so they do that, and then he wants to open more presents. There's one present on the table in particular that he's struggling to move, and it's heavy, and he lifts it off to reveal Dexter Lumis's head. He tips over the table, but Lumis, I don't know if there was an escape hole in the ring. I think he was able just to slip under the bottom rope, and it looked like when Miz pushed the table over that he was gone. I don't think he slipped through the ring, but he might have. I think he just went to the outside and crawled around to the other side of the ring, and Miz is looking for him, and then Dexter appears from behind, grabs a hold of the Miz. He's kicking, winds up hitting Maurice, and this looked like shit. I love Maurice. She's fantastic, but this was bad. I think the deal was supposed to be Miz was going to kick her, and she was going to go flying into the cake, but the first kick didn't really go right, and Maurice kind of tripped up, and then when she tried to do it again, Miz was able to kick her, but she just oversold it, and she went too far into the cake. But the result of what happened was phenomenal because she had that shit all over herself, and Miz actually runs away, leaving his wife stranded in the ring by herself. And then luckily Dexter doesn't do anything to her because Dexter's got his own woman. I'm wondering where Indy Hartwell is. I would love for her to be a part of this, and if Dexter is going to be a part of the Wyatt Six in any way, maybe Indy will appear there. Otherwise, if you bring Indy Hartwell in, you've got the entire Way faction in WWE. That would be cool if they started interacting again, even though they're all doing their own thing, but we'll see. I don't think Maurice was any direct danger there, but she ran away and covered in cake. It was beautiful, beautiful to watch. So I think we go to commercial, we come back. DX is backstage. It's Road Dogg, it's X-Pac, it's Shawn. They're chanting with the local jobbers that are about to go out to the ring and get murdered by Omos. So we're back to that again, Omos killing jobbers. So they talk to the local guys for a little while, and then The Miz and Maurice approach DX. Maurice looks hilarious with the cake all over her face. Her eyelashes are off and they're all over her makeup. She just looks haggard, and it's hilarious. She did such a great job of selling that whole thing. She was hilarious to look at during this whole thing. And of course, Miz is pissed off and he wants answers, or he wants something done. And Road Dogg chimes in and just decides, because he's the guest there that night, that we're going to make a match for next week. Road Dogg somehow has the authority to not only make a match, but make a match with someone who's not currently working there, Dexter Lumis, according to the storyline. So Road Dogg says that next week it's going to be The Miz versus Dexter Lumis, with the stipulation that if The Miz wins, then Dexter Lumis is gone forever. Essentially, Dexter Lumis is fired, but Dexter Lumis doesn't work there. So how can he's somebody who doesn't work there that's finding his way in despite security. Miz has been told and been hiring security to protect him. He's beating it every time. He's getting into the arena without being a talent. Maybe he's buying a ticket, but he's finding his way in there somehow, to be under the ring, to be backstage, to be in a closet, to be anywhere he chooses to be. He somehow has this ability, this Jason Statham shit or whatever. So he can do whatever he wants. So how are you going to enforce this stipulation? We know Miz isn't going to win next week. We know that. But let's just say that he did. How do you enforce the stipulation that you've just so randomly made here? He already doesn't work there. You can't fire someone who doesn't work there, and then you can't say you're not allowed to show up at the arena because he's already not allowed to show up at the arena. So none of that made sense to me. But the other side of that stipulation is that if Dexter Lumis wins, then he gets a WWE contract. So we know how that match is going to go. Dexter's going to win next week. He'll put pen to paper officially in storyline to be back with the company. And maybe then we'll get some idea of what his motivation is, because he can't be doing all of this just for a WWE contract. There has to be something deeper here in this story, and hopefully we'll find that out next week. After that, but before we get into the Lashley-Rollins match, I'm going to answer some chat questions here. But I should say right after that whole situation with The Miz, we do go to the ring, and Omos did, in fact, kill those jobbers. And then after that, we had a replay of the entire Bray Wyatt return from Saturday night, which was awesome to see that again. And then we would get Bobby Lashley versus Seth Rollins for the U.S. title. But before we get into that, let me just cruise back over here to the chat and see if you guys have anything interesting to say. I want to welcome Sean 2018. Thank you for joining and becoming a member. You are family now. Happy to have you on board. Thank you again for joining. It makes me really happy to see members coming in. Thank you so much. Let me see. Jonathan Cantris, thank you very much for that $5. So it's safe to say Brock versus Lashley and OC versus Judgment Day. That's right, OC, that's their name. In War Games at Survivor Series. I don't know if that's safe to say that, Jonathan, to be honest. I think OC and Judgment Day would only be 3-on-3 unless OC adds a woman on their team. I mean, they're really trios, if you ask me. I mean, it's just Priest, Balor, and Dominic. So I don't know if there's enough meat to do a War Games match. I think War Games is tailor-made for the Bloodline. I think you need to have, it needs to be a 4 or 5 member type of thing. And if the Bloodline is still going to be employing Sammy by that point, then Sammy's on the team. If they kick him out prior to that, I think it's going to be the 4 family members against Sammy and 3 other guys. Kevin Owens probably, and maybe some others. So I feel like at least right now, we'll have a better idea, obviously, once we get on the other side of Crown Jewel. But from where we sit, I feel like War Games is penciled in for Bloodline for sure. But who knows? Could be anything. And you're thinking Brock and Lashley at Survivor Series. See, I'm thinking Brock and Lashley at Crown Jewel because I didn't think there was any reason to really have Brock back right now. After losing to Roman, I thought Brock would do his Brock thing, take the rest of the year off, reappear next year for Mania or something. But with Crown Jewels, he likes to work those because those are fat-ass fucking paydays for him. So coming back in to work a match, although I'm just not sure how I feel about Brock and Lashley. And we're about to talk about that here in just a second when we resume, because I feel like that just puts Lashley in a position where he has to lose right after he just lost the title, after being booked pretty strong. I hate that. Hate it. But we'll see what happens. Alex, you don't think the Bloodline will work War Games? You think Roman wants to do that? I think Roman would be okay with that because, number one, he's got the trust of his family. I mean, who can you trust? Who more can you trust than 4 guys that will take a bullet for you? And on top of that, you're not defending your title. So it's an easy night, if you ask me, for Roman Reigns. Although maybe you could argue it puts him in jeopardy for the briefcase. You know, that is a good opportunity for Theory. Although I still think it would be tough to pull off because even in a War Games match, you know, how do you... Number one, the Bloodline would have to maybe lose or something, and Roman, or maybe they would win, but Roman somehow gets taken out or whatever. Oh man, if they could do something like if Theory could hire some guys, maybe hire Strowman and hire somebody else, and after War Games is over, regardless of who wins, they somehow try to do like an ambush as guys are leaving the cage. And if you get the other team completely out of there, let's say the Bloodline is all still in there, Roman's going to leave last. So, you know, Solo gets out, the Usos get out. If Sammy's there, he gets out. Roman's walking down the steps. He's about to exit the cage, and then boom, Bloodline's attacked by Strowman and somebody else. Theory, well, shit. And maybe, before, and then somebody goes in the ring in the cage and attacks Roman, and Theory's got like a chain or whatever, and he's locked in there. They lock him in so no Usos can get in there, and maybe Theory's hired guns are actually in the cage with him, and the Usos are locked out. They just bait the shit out of Roman for about 5 minutes, and then Theory is able to lay on top of him and get the win and win the title. So you could do something like that. That would be fun, and War Games could set up a good opportunity to do that. But I don't think Roman would back down from a War Games, even though he is a heel. I don't think that's something that he'd have a huge issue with, because it would spare him defending the title, other than a potential briefcase thing. But anyway, back to Monday Night Raw. We got the U.S. title match up next. So this one kind of surprised me. I don't know what it was in my brain or my mind, but it immediately triggered something fishy going on when Bobby Lashley came out, because I guess I was thinking in my head that this would be the main event. I was like, well, it's for the U.S. title. I think that these two guys should close the show. It's a championship match. They're both former champions. They're both main event caliber guys. But it was kind of implied that it would be Sammy and Riddle. But as soon as Lashley's music hit, for some reason, I guess in my mind, I wasn't mentally or physically prepared for that match. And it surprised me when Lashley started coming out. So I'm like, it just feels off. I feel like this match isn't going to happen. That was my first thought. I'm like, the way they're just starting this match, I don't know I guess it's just WWE, the way they produce TV and how it programs us. It just wasn't feeling right. So I thought in my head, I'm like, shit, something might happen here. We did hear the Brock Lesnar rumors, but something was giving off a vibe like the match wasn't even going to happen. And then when Lashley gets in the ring and grabs the mic, I'm like, I know something's up. Why would he talk? Why would he have anything to say right now? This is a championship match here. And then he just immediately decides to start talking about all the people he beat and the fact that he's defeated Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar and whoever else he rattled off. And he's doing all this before his championship match with Rollins. And I'm like, I don't know what this is about. And then Brock Lesnar's music hits. Sure enough, rumors were true. He comes out to the ring, gets on the mic for a brief moment before just lifting up Bobby Lashley into an F5, hit him with a German suplex, and beat his ass a little bit, and then left the ring. So again, this painted a very predictable picture of what was going to happen. I've been calling out the Seth championship win since last week. I said he's going to win the title on the season premiere. He's going to beat Lashley for that. And once the Brock rumors started, then that's kind of what made sense to me. I'm like, yeah, if Lashley's going to face Brock, that match doesn't need to be for the U.S. title, because Brock's got no business winning the U.S. title right now. Why would he do that? Why would they put that belt on him, a guy who's never there? Fuck that. So you're probably going to want to get the belt off of Lashley if you are going to do Lashley and Brock again. Rollins is a great choice. He's been doing a fuck ton of jobs this year to Cody and to Riddle and whatnot. So he's due for some championship gold again. It sets up a perfect scenario. So when Lashley got beat up by Brock, I was like, well, there you go. What's going to happen is Seth's going to come out after commercial, and he's going to want the match. And of course, Lashley is the proud babyface. He's not going to back down. He's going to insist on wrestling Rollins, even though Brock F5'd him, Germaned him, and put him in the Kimura lock, nearly broke his arm. He's going to insist on wrestling anyway, and that's pretty much what Rollins did. He gets on the mic, come on, what, you got no balls, you got no cojones, and you're in a disgrace to your country, and that's what did it. Once he brought up the disgrace to your country thing, Lashley's like, fuck it, I want to face you. The referees say, okay. He gets in the ring, goes for a spear, and immediately gets pedigreed by Rollins, but he kicks out. And then Rollins goes to the top, hits a frog splash. Lashley kicks out again. And then Rollins hits him with the stomp. And instead of going for the pin this time, he waits for Lashley to recover, hits him with a second stomp, and wins the United States title. 1, 2, 3. Rollins is your new champion. Sets everything up perfectly now. Now Lashley's going to want revenge. He's going to challenge Brock. You didn't have to wait long for that to happen. Lashley did it in the back in the next segment. When he was interviewed, he's pissed. He says, I want Brock Lesnar at the next available opportunity, and that will likely be Crown Jewel. And they'll make that. I bet you that feels like a match that will be announced this week on social media. Maybe it's already been announced. I don't know. But with everything happening here, well, they might wait till next week. I'm sorry. I take that back because Lashley did challenge Brock in that segment to show up next week. So he said, you bring your ass to Raw next week. So since Brock is going to be in the flesh next week, they might wait and make it official then. But if Brock wasn't going to be on the show, I feel like that's something they'd throw up on Twitter. It's official, Lashley versus Lesnar at Crown Jewel. Just seems like what they do. But maybe they'll wait. We'll get that next week, and we should get some sort of a segment between Lashley and Lesnar in the ring on Raw. So that's pretty good, and that's kind of refreshing and reassuring that Brock is back doing stuff with Triple H. I'm glad that Vince McMahon talked Brock off the ledge, so to speak. Whatever pissed him off and freaked him out when he left and walked out of SmackDown that night has since been smoothed over. Brock spent Vince McMahon's birthday with him, and it seems like they're close. So if Vince is assuring Brock behind the scenes that everything is good and the two of them still maintain a good relationship, then Brock is willing to stick around and do business under the Triple H regime. So it'll be interesting, too, under Triple H if the dynamic of how Brock is booked changes. Because the way this whole thing is set up right now, I feel like Brock has to win this, correct? Because he lost last time they faced. Don't I have that right? So I feel like this would be a match that Brock would win. Plus, you got to remember, he lost to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, then lost to Roman Reigns again at SummerSlam. And Brock is still Brock. He's a guy that can survive losses. You know, there's no such thing as burying Brock. It can't be done, no matter how many times he loses in a row. But there is a limit, I think, to the big matches in a row that Brock should lose, and he's reached that limit. So he's lost a lot of them this year. It's time for him to win one, and unfortunately, that's just going to have to come at the expense of Bobby Lashley, just like it did when Lashley faced Goldberg. I'm glad that WWE takes Lashley seriously, but, you know, I almost feel like he should even be more menacing and badass than he is. But we'll see what happens. Maybe WWE will surprise us in their booking of that match, but that match seems like it's one that's just to look good on the marquee, and not sure how you book it to where everybody wins. It's going to be tough. But I would like to see if Lashley does lose, you know, have it be a situation like how when Brock Lesnar loses, because you know, Brock fights till the end. Anyway, after that, we got the really creepy Revel in What You Are video, lots of distorts and a lot of Bray Wyatt stuff. I don't know if anybody picked that apart. There was also a QR code a couple of segments prior to that. So if you guys know what was unveiled or if there was any clues or anything revealed in the video or the QR code, let me know because I have no idea. So we had that next. And after that, we had an announcement for the return of Elias next week. Elias makes his return to Monday Night Raw, so we will have to see if Elias probably been off TV long enough to grow the real beard back. So now that he's back, we will see if WWE ever brings back the Ezekiel character. It looked like he was going to be off TV permanently, the way Kevin Owens just murdered him. But then when they did the hospital segment with all the Elias family members and stuff, it made me think that we might see him again in the future one day. So we will see. But Elias is back next week. And one of my biggest problems, you guys remember this from previous years, with Elias is that no matter what he was doing, if he was a heel or a babyface, my biggest issue with him is that he did the same shit every week. If he was a heel, he would be a dick. He'd start to play a song, and a babyface would interrupt him to the delight of the crowd. If he was a babyface, he would be riling up the crowd and getting them happy, and then a heel would interrupt to piss him off, and then Elias would get the better of him. It was the same shit every week. It was always him in there. I get the guitar as his gimmick. I get it. But why does everything he does have to start with him in the ring, starting to play a song, and then interrupted by somebody? That's been done to death with this dude. So now that he's coming back, give him a different dimension. Make him a dude who plays guitar and sometimes sings, and he can still be Elias, but just none of the same segments. Just everything was just rinse and repeat with him. regardless of whether he was heel or face, and I didn't think it was doing him any good. So hopefully, again, under Triple H, they'll look at some of that stuff, and anything that they can improve upon with Elias, they'll take those steps. Let's hope that they do. That brings us to the main event, Sami Zayn taking on Matt Riddle. Jey Uso, of course, has his marching orders from the Tribal Chief to ensure that Sami Zayn walks away with a victory tonight. Jimmy Uso is there at ringside as well. But Sami Zayn has also told these guys, especially Jey, that he doesn't need their help. He wants to win this one on his own for the Tribal Chief, for Roman, but Roman has instructed the Usos to watch Sami's back. So it's what Roman wants versus what Sami wants. And now the Usos are finding themselves in a situation where they have to choose. It should be an easy decision. You got to do what your Tribal Chief says. Jimmy really wants to help Sami, but Jey isn't letting it happen because Sami keeps saying, I want to do it on my own. Riddle just winds up kicking Sami Zayn's ass. And at one point, Jimmy was really ready to step in there, and Jey pulled him back. In the end, we get an RKO to Sami Zayn in the ring for the win, and Riddle wins. And it was because the Usos didn't help him. So now you got to think Roman Reigns is going to be pissed off on SmackDown. He will probably have some words with these guys, and he might be mad at all three of them now. They might be all in the doghouse, and the only one really in good with the Tribal Chief is Solo, and I hope they're having a good time in the clubs of New York City right now. So on SmackDown, we'll see what Roman does, and if this inches us any closer to the Bloodline pushing Sami out permanently. Eventually, it's got to happen, but I'm in no rush to see it happen. I hope that Sami is able to have great moments, and then he'll have a bad one that'll set him back, but then he'll redeem himself, and you just do that for a little longer and just don't let it overstay its welcome. Don't do it until it gets old. I don't believe it has overstayed its welcome. I don't believe it has gotten old. So as long as they can do it for a little longer and they still have fun with it and they can still make the inevitable turn on Sami, really great. I think we're in for some fun down the road. So we'll see how pissed Roman Reigns turns out to be, because he is going to be angry at the Usos for listening to Sami over him. But do you think Roman is going to be upset at Sami? Because Sami, I suppose, isn't aware what Roman told the Usos. You know, so from Sami's perspective, he didn't know that Roman told them to help him out. If he would have known that, then he would have backed off. So Sami didn't know that. So when he was telling the Usos to back off, that was without him knowing of the orders from the Tribal Chief. So maybe that absolves Sami, and it just makes Roman Reigns pissed off at the Usos. And now that's just going to infuriate Jey even more, and maybe even get Jimmy on Jey's side a little bit more, because Jimmy loves Sami, but maybe after something like that, getting chewed out by Roman Reigns for not listening to him makes him blame Sami a little bit. Come on, man, you got me in trouble or whatever. And maybe that's where the wheels begin to come off and things begin to unravel for Sami Zayn. We'll see what happens on Friday, but hopefully it doesn't result in Sami Zayn getting booted out of the group quite yet. I almost feel like Roman Reigns has been planting seeds to boot somebody else out of the group before Sami. I feel like he might kick Jey out again or something. I mean, Jey was impressive when they had their little singles run, right? A couple years ago, Jey did a good job. So maybe this is a way for him to get out. But I think at the end of this, the person getting out is going to be Sami Zayn. Let's see. That just leaves us with the final match, or not the final match, the final segment, I should say, and that is D-Generation X coming out at the end of it. I had almost forgot that DX was even still there, because in my mind, I wasn't looking at the clock, and I saw the celebration with Riddle, and I'm like, oh, that's the end of the show. And then DX's music hits. They all come out there. Triple H has got his leather jacket on, and they basically send the crowd home happy. Shout out to X-Pac, who shouted out Chyna. Apparently, he said publicly that he wanted to make sure she got some love. He got on the mic right away and said DX wouldn't be who they were without Chyna, and made sure to give her some appreciation, which I thought was nice. And Road Dogg called him D-Geriatric X, which I thought was hilarious, or one of them did, and Triple H did the suck it thing. It was nice. The whole DX thing was really well done. It wasn't obnoxious. They, like I said, they didn't bury any talent. They didn't beat up any heels. and they didn't do anything too corny or cheesy. They made it fun, and that's what's important. Don't just do it for the sake of doing it to where you force it and it comes off, cheesy or dumb or whatnot. This was all, for the most part, pretty fun, considering this is a 25-year celebration. These guys are all old farts now, and they're still able to be somewhat funny and somewhat entertaining in today's modern era is pretty good. So I think they deserve some love for that, and I like the way the whole DX thing was handled tonight on Raw. Overall, I got to give the show a good grade. So let me know what you think. Can you guys do me a favor and help me out with the likes? This channel does not get good likes. Help me. Help a brother out. I would appreciate it. And we will answer some questions, see if you guys have anything else to say, and I'm going to go ahead and get out of here because I think we covered pretty much everything. Good point, Alex. The loudest man in the room is also the weakest, says the only man in the room holding a microphone. Yeah, I guess Roman was on the mic on his own there. I think it's just a lesson, It's a good indicator of insecurity when you have somebody who's loud, screaming, saying the same shit over and over. They got some sort of inadequacy problems. Wouldn't be surprised if Lashley goes heel again and they bring back a different type of Hurt Business with Omos in it. Maybe, yeah. I feel that Omos just is something isn't working. He's just not good. I like the idea of this giant guy, but Satnam Singh's not very good either. Great Khali wasn't very good. Andre wasn't very good, bless his heart. But, when you're that stupidly large, it's, feels like we've reverted back to just beating up jobbers thing every week with Omos, and feel like maybe he should be doing more than that. But if they reformed some sort of a Hurt Business, I've been wanting to see that forever. They should have never disbanded the Hurt Business that they had. But I would also like to see some of the original members, even though Shelton is getting up there in age, I know that, but so is Lashley, so am I. They can still go. Shelton's still in good shape. Not sure if he's healthy or not. But some sort of reformation with MVP as the mouthpiece, I would love that because I like MVP, but I'm just not really into what he's doing with Omos, and I'm just not into the whole Omos thing. He hasn't seemed like he's improved very much in any way in the ring, which is not his fault. He's too goddamn giant to really be able to do anything that great, but I just don't know what you do. I mean, he did take a loss to Lashley, so we've already beaten him. So it's not like you can just feed him to the champion. I mean, you can. I think eventually you just feed him to a babyface champion, just like John Cena faced Great Khali and Umaga and shit like that. You got Roman as the title holder right now. So whenever WWE finally beats Roman or ununifies the championships, and we are back to having 2 titles on the shows again, and one of those titles is on a babyface, that's when I think you give Omos a title shot. But in the meantime, does that mean we're going to have, a year plus of more of these just jobber matches with Omos? It just gets old. He just doesn't do anything for me. So maybe he'll get better. I hope, it's not his fault. He can't do a shooting star press. He's too big. But even for a big guy, he isn't clicking with me. But even in AEW, their big fella isn't doing it for me either. And like I said, it's not their fault. People that big just aren't going to be very good workers most of the time. And, you could get away with that in the 80s and the 70s because nobody gave 2 fucks about work rate. But nowadays, it's just hard. It's hard to get over. Okay, so at least Shelton's in the ring, been working NXT. What if Roman, Max Pokebra, what if Roman has Sammy beat Jay for his half of the tag titles, then Jay gets kicked out? Sammy and Jimmy would be the unified tag team champs, but now Jimmy hates Sammy. I kind of like the idea of Jay losing his tag team championship spot. I don't know if Roman has the authority to do that. In the past, WWE has replaced a tag team champion before and allowed that person to be champion. Crush got to walk in the door of the company as champion. When he joined Demolition, he was able to defend the title. I don't know how that works, how that's legal, but somehow it is. So I think there's a way, considering the tag team rules seem to be a little bit flimsy anyway, that under the right creative scenario, something like that could happen where Jay gets kicked out and now Sammy assumes his role, because Jimmy and Sammy are friends. So hopefully that's not damaged based on what happened tonight on Raw. But if they are still cool and Jimmy is still just in love with Sammy, and he does, see, I would like it if Jimmy didn't hate Sammy. See, Max, you have the ending of Jimmy now disliking Sammy, but I kind of would like them to stay cool, just to see Jay just blown away the fact that Sammy has taken his place with his brother and the two of them are tight and Jay's on the outside looking in. That would be hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Unless this is, unless they're all in on it, unless they are just fucking with Sami Zayn for their own enjoyment, like that would be pretty boss, if you ask me. Like your faction is so strong. You have so many championships. You've beaten everybody. You got no reason to even be on the show. So just for fun, just for kicks, we've decided to have some fun. We're going to take a guy, we're going to pick someone from the roster, manipulate them, build them up, and then destroy them just for our own amusement, because that's how sick we are. And maybe that's what they're doing here with Sami Zayn. They're doing this to amuse themselves because nothing else is a challenge. Roman Reigns is getting in the ring with a fucking YouTuber in Saudi Arabia. He's got no real threats at the moment. The guy who has the briefcase now is a joke. He finally got the Brock Lesnar monkey off his back, so he's not an immediate threat. Roman is walking around as the tribal chief, as the king of the jungle, with no real natural predators at all right now. He has nothing to fear. He's got no one to worry about. He can call his shots with a championship and really make sure that he only defends the title in a situation that benefits him. He is really protected in a lot of ways. So maybe just for fun on the side, just so they can have something fun to talk about, they have decided to toy with Sami Zayn. And I don't know why it makes me think of this, but did you ever see the Ocean's movies, Ocean's 11, 12, and 13? In those movies, there's always these little side pranks. It's like they got so much other shit. They're like trying to pull off a heist, but at the same time, they're just fucking with one member of their group just for fun. It's kind of like that. I almost wonder if maybe that's revealed, but probably not. I think the real case here is that Sami Zayn is eventually going to screw up for the last time, and when the Bloodline murders him, I think he might sell it similar to how Ray sold it. When Ray was crying tonight on Raw after just being heartbroken at what has become of his son and the unraveling of that relationship, and he just sold that so well. If you do something similar with those guys, I think that could be great. And you have Sami Zayn with that type of reaction after getting his ass kicked or booted out of the Bloodline. He literally has nothing now. He put all his eggs in the Bloodline basket, burned all of his previous bridges. He thought he was Bloodline for life, and now he's left with nothing. He'll probably fall into some depression. All that could be really good and really fun. And maybe it takes Kevin Owens to pull Sami Zayn out of that. Get up, you son of a bitch, because Mickey loves you. That type of thing. We'll see, but should make for good TV either way. Zane G, appreciate that $5, my friend. Well, Mike Work, remember when Benoit held 2 tag titles and solo and by himself due to his partner being injured? Yeah. Oh, solo. Tag title. I was like, solo. Yeah, a couple guys have done that as well. I know we've had several matches in WWE history where one guy has defended the title. We've had replacements before. British Bulldog came in to replace Owen Hart at In Your House when Oj was being born, I think, or maybe it was his daughter. One of them was being born during that, so he almost missed the pay-per-view, and they had Bulldog fill in as a temporary tag team champion. So you can totally do it. So yeah, I'm not saying that it can't be done and you can't creatively write a way to do that, because they've done shit like that plenty of times before. So yeah, I think it is totally possible, Zane. The whole time Bloodline just thought Sami Zayn was some homeless dude that they let it hang out with him. Could be that too. Oh yeah, Veer, what happened to him? He's on NXT now? Put the tag team titles on R-Truth and Omos. Yeah, I mean, eventually they got to decide if they want to ununify the tag team titles as well, because Usos are carrying all of those. And we'll see if WWE winds up debuting these new belts as rumored, and I know one of those belts apparently are new tag team titles, and if they are a set of unified titles, that would be kind of cool if we just had one tag team champion. There's really no reason to have two sets of tag team champions when there's no real true brand split anymore. Why have the SmackDown tag team champions on Raw? Stop doing that. So I really hope that they're redesigning tag belts to replace the 4 belts that the Usos are currently holding. Hopefully that's the case. And then if they want to ununify the world titles, I can understand that. But if you're going to have a very flimsy brand split to where Raw and SmackDown people are not confined to those shows, there's no reason for 2 tag team titles. That's too much. Imagine if AEW had 2, well, I guess they do. They have trios titles. But having 2 sets of main tag team titles in your company just seem weird. So, yeah, get that shit out of there. 1 set's all you need. Rey Mysterio letting his son beat him so he can get with Rhea Ripley. That's a dad right there. Yeah, I think Rhea's going to make a man out of Dominic. You'll probably see some facial hair grow on him pretty quick. She's probably growing him up. What's up, Zane? 5 more from you. Your thoughts on the Mania 40 logo? I loved it. Love the big XL on it. A lot of people have been happy about the Roman numerals are back, but I don't think they're back. They're not back for 39, and that's coming up next. 40's a whole nother year away from that. So I think it's just the XL that looks cool. So I think the Roman numerals are simply back for WrestleMania 40. They might not necessarily be back, but I think it's possible they could return, or at least the Manias are getting numbered again. That would be really nice because Triple H seems like he wouldn't have that same opinion that Vince did. We heard that report years ago that Vince wanted to take away the numbers because it made WrestleMania sound old. What are you talking? Well, then what the fuck is UFC 256 or whatever? So why in the world does that make? That's a pretty low number if you ask me. But it's an annual thing. And it was just such a stupid reasoning just to call the event WrestleMania every year. When it's your big show, when it's the one you've been doing and it's your Super Bowl, you should number it. So I hope that the numbers come back. But I think with the Roman numeral stuff, I think it's probably just for WrestleMania 40 because WrestleMania XL looks cool. Last time I remember them doing the Romans was for 30, right? The big XXX, the big triple X. And after that, they went to the play symbol for 31, and I don't think they were doing any numbering after that. So whether it's Roman numerals or regular numerals and you just do the numbers, I don't care. I just think you should number the Manias. So we'll see if they refer to WrestleMania this year as just WrestleMania or if they call it WrestleMania 39 a lot. We will see. But next year, I have a feeling they're probably going to be calling it WrestleMania XL. How much you want to bet? Next year, they're probably not going to really call it WrestleMania 40. All of the marketing, all of the advertisement, all of the plugging on commentary is going to be WrestleMania XL. Every promo. This Sunday at WrestleMania XL. I can hear it right now. Ugh. I got to remember, though, it's Triple H, not Vince. So maybe I'm wrong. Good to see you, K-Dog's Kennel. Welcome. Glad you're here. Hope you're doing well, my friend. You're here just in time for me to leave because I'm about to sign off here. But that should do it for tonight. I appreciate you guys being here with me this evening. Thanks for all the questions and the super chats and the engagement and all that good stuff. I am not sure when we're going to be back up here next. I know I'm going to have some mic drops hitting the channel this week, but I will not be here for Wednesday. I'm not sure if I brought that up over the weekend. I will be absent for the Dynamite watch along this week, but we will be here for the one the following week because that is the Jon Moxley and Hangman Page match in Cincinnati. So my next scheduled video is not technically until Saturday for the Winged Eagle podcast. On Sunday, we're also going to be doing a watch along, which we will determine this week. So keep a lookout in the community tab. Make sure you're subscribed as well, by the way. And if you're a channel member, you're going to be having access to selecting which shows we do. But between now and Saturday, there's going to be a little sprinkling of content, just not exactly sure when at this point. So just keep a lookout. Make sure you subscribe. It's going to be one of those choppy weeks. on the channel because I have a really busy work schedule this week that I wasn't expecting. I'm actually working a lot more than I normally do, but we just have a lot going on. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm going to work on Wednesday and do some other stuff. So I will be up here periodically with a couple of mic drops throughout the week, but unless some major news drops, you probably won't see me live streaming again until Saturday. So I apologize for that. But anyway, you guys take care. Thanks again for being here this evening. Have a good rest of your Monday night. Subscribe and hit the like button out the door, and I will catch you guys real soon. Have a good one. Peace.